Hey guys, welcome back to the Makefile series. Today's video is special to me. I believe that the topics of this video are what differentiates new versus experienced Makefile developers. So after you watch this video, I hope you feel accomplished. I hope you feel like you've crossed the threshold and you're competent with Makefiles. Of course, just watching it is not enough. I do encourage you to actually go out and practice, so you actually know for sure that you understand these topics. But I do hope that the videos go at least some way in your journey. So the topic is functions, and we've already discussed a number of built-in functions, but today we're going to be discussing user-defined functions, so things that you can write yourself. It's not technically possible, but there are ways to do it. And we're going to cover how to use existing functions to create more powerful makefile constructs. So let's start off with a quick refresher on the foreach function. I just chose this randomly as an example. And this is an example we saw before where we have a regions variable, which is a list of 3 words. And we said for each region in regions, we want to evaluate the hello-region expression. And what that's going to do is it's going to create hello-Africa. So hello from here and then Africa. And the same thing for Asia and Europe. So this function expression evaluates to this string down here, and it doesn't have any side effects. It doesn't modify this regions variable. It doesn't do anything extraneous. It's pretty straightforward. Other functions sometimes have side effects. So the shell function, for example, executes something in the shell, which could have its own side effects, but also it takes whatever that shell command printed out and it stores that, it evaluates to that. So this expression evaluates to that and returns that and stores it in whatever variable you're storing it in. Or if you're not storing it anywhere, it just pastes it into the makefile. The info function or warning or error functions, they have side effects as well. They print stuff out to the screen. The error function also stops. So some functions have side effects, and we're going to make use of such functions in this makefile here. So let's get to the exciting parts. And what we're going to look at is a variable that has a recursive definition. And this variable uses $1 and $2. Now, these are not variables that have been defined yet. So this doesn't really do anything. If I try to use it immediately, it's probably just going to print is better than dot or space and then a dot. Actually, no, there will not be a space here. There's going to be a space from here. The call function is a built-in function that you can use with your own variable, so that if you pass in extra parameters, those parameters are going to be placed into the 1, 2, 3, or xth variables, such that $1 is going to expand to dark mode here, and $2 is going to expand to light mode. So let's try running this makefile, and we can see that result is dark mode is better than light mode, which you can disagree with. Sometimes I disagree with it, but that's what this says. So we can use that to create expanding strings. We can also do that with multi-line variables, or we can do that with, these define statements. By default, these have a recursive definition. So by default, they have an implicit equal sign. You can also explicitly put in the equal sign. That's okay. You can also put in you can put in a colon equal, but then you cannot use this with the call function, because if you do an immediate definition, then it immediately expands $1, $2, and $3. And since they don't have any values, this doesn't work the way you want it to work. So leave it blank, use it with the implicit equal sign, or put in the equal, that's fine too. Now, what do we have here? This is the exact syntax that you use when you're writing a rule. You have the target name, a colon, your prerequisite list, and on the next line, after a tab, you have your recipe. Let's try doing a call with this dynamic rule that we put over here. That's the name of the variable. And we can pass in hello for the first parameter. So that's going to be the target name. We don't pass in anything for the second parameter, so there are no prerequisites. And for the third parameter, we say echo hello from the other side. And this is your recipe. What happened? If we print it out, this is what we get over here. If I try to make that target, if I try to make the target hello from here, is it going to work? No, there is no rule to make target hello. That's because we put the result of this into the string, but we didn't actually put the string into the makefile. Would it work if we did that? If we just if we expanded that variable over here? It still doesn't work the way we want to. It's slightly different. It says, okay, I see a rule to make target hello. We don't see this complaint anymore, so target hello exists. But now it says no rule to make target echo needed by hello. So most likely what's going on is that all of this got expanded into one single line. And because of that, make doesn't understand what we're doing over here. But we want it to understand. So how can we do that? The answer is another function called eval. Eval takes an expression, even if it's multiple lines, and it evaluates it as makefile syntax. So before we get to our dynamic rule, let's switch back to an example that we saw earlier. In that example, we use the same region variable that iterates over our regions, and we wanted to create hello-region rules that's going to print out the name of that region. It didn't work without the eval function. If we tried that, let's try hello-Africa. We got this weird thing printed out over here, and we went into why that happened. If you want a refresher, you can watch video make 3.6, and that will explain exactly what's going on over here. We can fix that error by using the eval function, and now it's going to print hello Africa. What's going on here is that this is expanded for each region. So we have Africa, Asia, and Europe, and I butchered that name, Asia and Europe. So here we're overriding it because I did the same thing twice. But what this is doing is it's evaluating this stuff in here as makefile syntax. I hope that makes sense to you. One question you might have is, why do we need the double $sign? Why do we need two? Well, if we just put one, what's going to happen is that this $@ is going to get expanded immediately, but we don't have any such variable. We don't have at equals X or whatever we want it to be. So this is just going to be an empty spot. We don't want that. We want a $@ over there, but we want this to be deferred. Instead of expanding it now, we want this to be expanded later. So we escape the $sign. And when eval is reading it, it's going to see the single $sign later on. And then it's going to notice that, oh, okay, this needs to expand to the target name over here. That's why we need the double $sign. And that's why we put it over there too. We can also do this with dynamically generated strings or dynamically generated rules over here in this instance. So again, we can create a variable that is the result of this call function, and we can pass an eval rule as the target name, and again, no prerequisites, just like over here. And for our recipe, we'll echo $@. We had previously tried putting this here like this, like this, and that didn't work. But now, instead of that, we'll put it through the eval function, and this time we can see that the eval rule works. So this is the power of the eval function. You can dynamically generate rules and parse them as makefile syntax. You can also skip the intermediate variable and just put the result of the call function directly inside eval, and that is a common construct that you'll see in makefiles, just to save that one variable. Eval functions are very commonly used whenever you're dynamically generating a list or a bunch of rules that you don't know what they're going to be ahead of time. So you create your own functions, you call them, you dynamically generate a bunch of names, and then you create rules based off of that. So they're very powerful, they're very flexible. And if you write very advanced makefiles, you will find yourself needing this construct. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this segment of videos. I am going to continue, but at this level, I do believe that you have the knowledge that you need to write advanced makefiles. So thanks again, and hope to see you next time.